All right, next to notice how I filled in my chart for above. I dragged my little tiles up for the subtraction problems. So the next one, Jeremy has a jar that holds 1.05 pounds of sugar. If he fills 11 jars, how many pounds of sugar will he have? So each jar holds 1.05 pounds of sugar. He's filling 11 jars. This is going to be a multiplication problem. So multiply. Remember, you put whichever number has more digits on top. So 1.05 has more digits than 11. Don't line up your decimals when you're multiplying. You line them up like there's a wall on the right-hand side. Okay, so now I can multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. This is where I tic-tac-toe. I have nothing to tick. I'm going to tack that 1 and toe my 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. From here, you add your products. I do need a placeholder of a 0. Now 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 1 plus 0 is 1. And 0 plus 1 is 1. Final step is to work with those decimals. So notice there are 2 numbers after my decimal point in my first number. In a whole number, your decimal is after the ones, so I have no numbers after my decimal. In my second number, 2 plus 0 tells me I should have 2 numbers in my final answer after my decimal, which would give me 11.55. Back to the problem for my units, and we were doing pounds of sugar, so pounds would be your unit. Okay, next problem. Carpeting costs 0.85 or 85 cents a yard. If Jan buys 12.75 feet, 7 feet, how much will it cost her? So this is another multiplication problem. So 12.7 and 0.85 both have 3 digits, so it doesn't matter which one you put on top. And then 0.85. So our problem is set up, and now we just multiply. 5 times 7 is 35. Put our 5, carry our 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Put our 3, carry our 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. We need to tic-tac-toe. Tick both the 1 and the 3. Tack the 5. Toe your 0. And now we can continue multiplying. 8 times 7 is 56. Put our 6, carry a 5. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 5 is 21. Put a 1, carry our 2. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Now I am going to draw that line because my next number is a 0, and any number times 0 is going to give me 0. Okay, so we are good. We need to put some placeholders before we can add to get our final answer. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 3 plus 6 is 9. 6 plus 1 is 7. 0 plus 0 is 0. And 0 plus 1 is 1. Final step is to look at those decimals. So we have 1 number after our decimal in 12.7. We have 2 numbers after our decimal in 0.85. So 1 plus 2 is 3, which tells me 3 numbers will be after my decimal in my final answer. But looking back at our problem, it said round your answer to the nearest cent. So if I have 10.795, my nearest cent, I would be circling my 9 and underlining my 5. So 5 tells me to round that 9 up. But if I round 9 up 1, that gives me 10. So I'll put my 0, carry a 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. Bring down your 10. So your answer would be 10.81. 0, and in this case we are talking money, so this would be dollars. Notice I dragged my tiles up for my multiplication problems. You should do the same. And now we have 2 problems left. So Brad studied a total of 4.76 hours over the last 4 days. On average, how many hours did he study each day? So if he studied 4.76 hours over 4 days, I'm going to be splitting up 4.76 hours, divide it by 4 to figure out how much he studied each day. So I set up my problem, 4.76 in my doghouse, 4 on the out. Let's get started. So 4 goes into 4 one time, right? Because 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. Bring down our 7. 4 goes into 7 one time, because 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down our 6. And 4 goes into 36 9 times perfectly. We're left with 0, and there's nothing else to bring down. So our final step is to shoot that decimal right up through the roof. So we did our division. Our answer is 1.19, and we are talking hours for our units. All right, last one. Sam drove 32.55 miles on 2.1 gallons of gas. How many miles did he drive per gallon? So per is our key word, telling us we need to divide. And 32.55 gallons or miles is going to go inside our doghouse. So when I set this up, 32.55 inside my doghouse, 2.1 outside. So remember, when dividing by a decimal, you want your decimal to be moved to make that a whole number. And whatever you do to the inside or to the outside number, you have to do to the inside. So I'm going to move my decimal one place to the right. And I like to rewrite my problem so it isn't so messy. So my new number outside was 21, and my number inside is 325 and 5/10. You can shoot your decimal through the roof so that you don't forget about it, and then we can start dividing. So 21 goes into 3 0 times. 21 goes into 32 one time, because 1 times 21 is 21. Subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. Bring down our 5. So me personally, I don't know how many times 21 can go into 115 just off the top of my head. So remember, you can always do your guess and check with multiplication off to the side. So I'm going to try 21 times 5 and see what I get. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So that looks to be as close as I can get without going over. So I'm going to put a 5. 5 times 21 was 105. Subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. And then drop our 5, and we'll repeat. Well, what's great about this is I'm left with 105, and I just figured out that 21 times 5 is 105. So I can put another 5 up top, and we will subtract perfectly to be left with a 0 and nothing else to bring down, which tells me my final answer is 15.5, and they asked how many miles did he drive per gallon. So I'm going to put MPG for miles per gallon, but your little tile at the bottom should say miles per gallon. All right, and this would be your final answer. Hopefully your scenario sort looks exactly the same as mine. Please make sure on the slides below you upload a picture of all of your work. We just did a lot of work together and we want to see it all. So please make sure you are uploading all of your work to today's assignment or into these slides.